if levels pop up when I'm talking? Is it good?
Good evening. We will call to order the City Council Committee and Council meetings for Monday, June 2nd. This evening, we are fortunate to have Chaplain Laird Percy with us to provide us with an invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to gather again. Thank you for all the history that's gone on in the last year. And Lord, I know that we're looking ahead, and I ask that you would give favor to all the conversations, all the activities. Lord, you would help us with the unseen hand do the things that are really hard for us to do, because we want the city to be a livable place. We want the city to reflect your providence. We want to work with one another, and I ask for your assistance for all those who are gathered, those who are here and those who are not here, who need to contribute for the success of the city. And so we ask for your blessing on all the conversations tonight, and we ask that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Forgot about that wrinkle. So this evening we have a special finance and personnel committee meeting. So I'll turn you over to Alderman Frost.
Thank you, Sir Clerk. Could you please take roll?
Here.
Here. All right. Thank you. This is a special meeting to address a few issues on the agenda. Under resolutions, we have number one, the acceptance of a Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity State Supplemental Grant Award in the amount of $3,747,962. It does not require a cost match. It's from June 1, 2025 to August 31, 2026. It will provide funds to pay for approved clients' electrical bills, heating bills, and other administrative items. Number two, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Item 2 is the acceptance of the DCEO Weatherization Health and Human Services grant award in the amount of $772,748. It also does not require a cost match. It's for the same term. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Item 3 is an acceptance of a DCO grant award in the amount of $450,575. It also does not require a cost match. It's from the same term of June 1, 2025 to September 30, 2026. It will be used to pay for approved clients' weatherization, work orders, energy uses, education, etc. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any questions or comments for staff? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Item 4 is an acceptance of the Integrated Mobile Partners Action Crisis Team grant from the Winnebago County Community Health Board in the amount of $1,304,401. It also does not require a cost match. It is from June 1, 2025 to May 31, 2027. The grant funds will be used to cover salaries for 5 mental health navigators and 1 housing navigator, temporary housing costs, and other services to help with permanent housing. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any questions or comments for staff? All right, seeing none, all those in favor indicate by aye. Aye. Opposed? Matter passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Frost. Next up, I'll give time for some changeover. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Logeman. Here. Toomber. Here. Frost.
Here.
Tarina. Here. Prunty. Here. Wilkins. Here. Granith. Here. Salgado. Bell. Here. Bonnie. Here. 10 present.
Excellent. We have a quorum this evening. Is there a motion to approve the Journal of Proceedings for the City Council meeting held on May 5th, 2025? We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Excellent. Next, we're going to do the State of the City address. So good evening, everyone. It is really hard to believe that this is now my 8th State of the City address. I want to just say I am honored to stand before all of you once again, and I am grateful and humbled by the trust and the partnership of the residents of the City of Rockford, you, our City Council, our amazing staff, and so many community stakeholders. I look forward to delivering many more State of the City addresses during my tenure and to continuing the important work that all of us have begun together. Tonight, let's take a moment to honor how far we have come and then recommit ourselves to the work that still remains ahead of us. I firmly believe that the best chapters of the City of Rockford's story have yet to be written. Rockford, to me, is on the rise. We are leaning into our shared values and working to care for all citizens who call Rockford home. At the same time, we're navigating challenges, uncertainty at the federal level, and growing pressures from the state. The year ahead of us will bring many tests. Our commitment, our values, and our partnerships will be challenged. The city and our community partners will face added strain. And if we're not careful, the progress that we have made on behalf of all of our residents could be at risk. As city leaders, we are entrusted, especially during uncertain and even challenging times, with the responsibility of keeping our residents safe, supporting the growth and vitality of our neighborhoods, strengthening our infrastructure, and driving forward our local economy. At its core, the tremendous responsibility is about creating hope and expanding opportunities for all of our residents, from those who have just arrived to Rockford to those that are lifelong Rockfordians, to which help shape our community. This responsibility can absolutely feel overwhelming at times, but it's also energizing, and it's a challenge that I believe we are more than ready to take on together. Our approach to public safety has shown real results. Our philosophy and ongoing efforts are making a positive, measurable impact on the safety of our residents. We all know that more police on the streets alone will not make our community safer. Public safety requires a holistic approach, strong enforcement coupled with incredible strong prevention and intervention efforts. So over the past 8 years, this City Council has increased our police budget by more than 58%, which allows us to fund more officers and invest in retention efforts for those that are already serving our community. And we've also prioritized public safety technology. At the same time that we're doing that, we're investing millions into proven prevention and intervention efforts that are based on data, based on community input and expert guidance. We opened the first and the only Family Peace Center in the state of Illinois for survivors of domestic and sexual violence. Today, the Family Peace Center has served more than 2,200 survivors and more than 500 children. In the next 12 months, the Family Peace Center will move into a new, much larger space and expand its partner organizations to more than 35 organizations. These organizations will operate under one roof, and they'll have the sole purpose of supporting our survivors and their children. We also, as a council, opened our first community healing center to support children and families that have been exposed to violence. Our workforce programs are also part of this strategy, providing at-risk young adults with hands-on job training in construction and skilled trades. This year, our concrete interns will lay 2.5 miles of sidewalk around our schools and around our parks, and then they'll have the opportunity and a pathway to enter the trades. Our very first intern, Sylvester, who started with all of us just 3 years ago, will become a journeyman this summer. This summer, he will be making $49 an hour. He will have a pension and full benefits. That is life-changing work for Sylvester, for his family, and for our entire community. Our efforts as a council and as a community are working. Property crime is down. Violent crime is down. And we're making tremendous progress in our juvenile crime. In just the last 2 years, we've reduced the number of juveniles being arrested by 21%. These numbers show progress, but they also remind us that public safety is not a finish line. It's a daily commitment that requires our ongoing investment, our ongoing collaboration, and innovation. Education, as we know, is also key to safer communities and a thriving local economy. And although we do not control Rockford Public Schools, we do know we have to have a strong district if we want our children to have more opportunities in life and attract more residents to our community and more businesses to our city. This year, the school board will make one of the most significant decisions of the next decade on behalf of our students and on behalf of our families. They will be selecting a new superintendent. I have offered my assistance and advice and the resources of the City of Rockford to help ensure that this selection process leaves us with the strongest possible leader for the third largest school district in the state of Illinois. But we also have to be cognizant that our schools alone are not the solution for the troubling educational outcomes that we have seen. As a city, we must embrace a shared sense of responsibility and an active commitment to supporting our students and their success. We can no longer say things like those students. If we continue to do that, we will certainly fail. These are not those students. These are truly all of our students. And with the work of Alignment Rockford and our partners, we are now ensuring that every single child born in Rockford will have the opportunity to have free at-home visits by nurses to ensure that children and their parents are on the right track for success. In addition, the United Way will continue their work to increase civic engagement with a relentless focus on early childhood literacy. At the city, we support our young children through our Head Start program, which serves our community's most vulnerable kids. We also provide their families with education, support, enhanced healthcare access, and connections to numerous community resources. Rockford Public Schools recently broke ground on a new career academy for health sciences and technology, that will open this fall with hands-on labs, advanced equipment, and expanded career pathways. The academy will also eliminate the zoning and the access barriers, giving and making sure all students have the equal opportunity to pursue their future careers. To help with educational attainment beyond high school, this body created and continues to support the Rockford Promise NIU Scholarship Program. Today, 400 of our kids are on their campus tuition-free. 70% are first-generation college-going students. And in 2024, this body expanded the Promise program, allowing qualified graduates from public and private partner schools in Rockford to now attend Rockford University tuition-free. I want you to know your efforts are working. This year, we had a 12% increase in applications into the program. We have applicants from every single one of your wards. Goodwill also launched the Excel Center in Rockford, which again is the only Excel Center in the state of Illinois. And that Excel Center will offer adults free state-accredited high school diplomas along with free childcare and job placement assistance. Enrollment has already begun for their classes that will begin this fall. Rock Valley College recently broke ground on its downtown west campus, which will now house a variety of programs that are targeted at our adult learners, and that facility is scheduled to open in August of 2026. Digital literacy. It's essential for success in school, work, and life. That's why we're laying fiber optic cable in front of every single home, and that's why we're partnering with NICNI and Comcast to bridge the digital divide. But we know access alone is not enough. We must equip all of our residents with the skills to actually use that technology, especially today, since 92% of all jobs in the state of Illinois require digital skills. So let's come together and take shared responsibility for educating our youth, shifting from blame to support and engagement. A culture of care and learning not only will lift up our families, but also strengthen our economy and attract new businesses to our city. Economic success means little if it doesn't reach the places our residents call home. Residents deserve safe, connected communities where pride runs deep and every single one of them feels as though they belong. In 2024, the Rockford Area Arts Council built on this vision by finalizing our first ever Rockford Regional Cultural Plan. And it was shaped by public input, and it focused on 4 strategic priorities: shared spaces, artist housing, public art, and program sustainability. Also, thanks to our partnership with the Hard Rock Casino, the Levings Lake Unity Pavilion officially opened last year. Also taking place in Southwest Rockford, the Rockford Park District is improving Clarence Hicks Memorial Sports Park. It's a vital space that is serving thousands of youth, teens, and families annually. This council approved also our largest capital improvement plan in our city's history, bringing more than $96 million of construction and upgrades that are already taking place. There's 490 unique projects touching every single neighborhood in our city. In our neighborhoods, they're also getting nearly double the amount of infrastructure funding. And we're not just investing in that infrastructure, we're also reducing the number of vacant structures that have plagued our neighborhoods, and we're reducing those by nearly 20%. We also know that our families are under strain, and we are doing what we can to help them save money. We are working diligently to replace all of our water service lines that contain lead at no cost to the property owner. And for a homeowner, that's between $6,000 and $8,000 on the low end of savings. We also created programs to make essential home improvements more affordable for our residents, including programs such as the Critical Home Repair Program, the Homeowner Rehab Program, our Roof Repair Program, our Tree Removal Loan Program, all efforts to help our residents save money. After the housing market crash in 2008, property values in Rockford dropped sharply. We lost 31% of our values from 2008 through 2016. But since 2017, we've seen a strong recovery. Property values have grown by more than 50%, and they are at our city's highest point in our history. And at the same time that property values are up, our property tax rate is the lowest it's been since 1984. We are the only major taxing body in Winnebago County that has actually reduced its property tax levy over the last 10 years. Heck, even the Illinois Policy Institute is taking note of our work. We recently also approved a housing strategy framework to support economic growth that we are seeing by meeting the rising demand also of affordable housing. The plan aims to create and preserve between 6,000 and 9,000 units by 2035, both of new construction as well as rehabilitation. To help, we established the Property Tax Rebate Program in partnership with many other taxing bodies. In 2024, the program worked. We saw the most single-family construction permits pulled since the Great Recession. And in the last 30 months, more than 1,700 units have either been constructed or are in process of being constructed in the city. It's no wonder that multiple news outlets has declared the city of Rockford one of the hottest housing markets in the country. We need to have great pride in where we are from and the work we are doing. Others are taking note. For the first time in more than 2 decades, our population is growing. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it's growing on the heels of the launch of the Made for Rockford campaign that's been led successfully by Go Rockford. It isn't just our population that's growing or our housing that is booming. Economic development is thriving in Rockford as well, driving job creation and improving quality of life for our residents. Rockford is seeing major local investments and business growth. From the $400 million Barbara Coleman site redevelopment, and PCI is also expanding 2 facilities totaling 800,000 square feet and hiring hundreds of our residents. Kadon Precision Machining has grown from $7 million company to a $25 million company under Justin Franklin, and he has plans to double that again by 2030. Myborg Trucking has expanded from 100 employees to 600 employees and now projects $110 million of sales. It's a 450% jump since 2017, and those are just a few. The Rockford Area Arts Council was recently awarded $1.54 million from the United States EPA for environmental cleanup of the Armory. The plans for this space are exciting, and they include visual and performing art venues, along with live-work spaces for artists, fostering creativity, community, and cultural growth. And it's here in the heart of Rockford. Employment at the airport has surged by an impressive 74%. Back in 2017, just 8 years ago, they were responsible for 4,500 jobs. Today, they are now responsible for 8,700 jobs. We've also partnered with the airport and Region 1 to bring back a county-wide development authority. The first area of focus for this development authority is just south of the airport, where road, rail, and air access come together to create literally one of the most competitive industrial sites in the entire nation. The goal for this area is to attract high-tech industry that creates permanent white and blue-collar jobs. It supports our airport growth, as well as addresses regional environmental issues. We have already seen an investment from Air Liquide, which built next door to the landfill, converting methane from the landfill to renewable natural gas. It's Air Liquide's largest renewable gas plant they have globally. This is exciting. What we used to burn off in our atmosphere is now being cleaned and then converted into renewable natural gas to power our city. And we were recently also named one of the only 5 new state-designated cultural districts, thanks to a collaborative effort by our amazing staff, our partners, our residents, and businesses. This designation makes us eligible for up to $3 million of additional funding to boost economic development and preserve our cultural identity. We're not only working, though, to attract high-tech industry and major developments, we're also here to support our local business owners. The Think Big Incubator, it's now open, and they are empowering women and minority-owned entrepreneurs to grow and thrive here in the city of Rockford. We're also putting Rockford on the map in new ways, like hosting the Ironman for the first time ever in Illinois' history, and that'll take place in just a few short weeks. Immediately after the Ironman, we will begin the renovation of Davis Park. The redevelopment of Davis Park is a long time coming. We started back with a task force of citizens back in 2018, and then we continued our engagement of the council as well as our community. Surveys show that residents want this riverfront turned into a welcoming and activated space for all to use and for all to share. In a few weeks, this council will have a historic opportunity to advance this project and make it from a dream to a reality for all of our residents. There is a sense of momentum and optimism, and it's not just coming from a few. It's coming from business owners who were recently surveyed by the Chamber of Commerce. Nearly half of those surveyed plan to increase their staff next year. That's up from the 35% that reported increasing their staff last year. With the work and the energy and the new energy at the Chamber, businesses feel our progress. They feel the positivity. Rockford is seeing major economic momentum, and that momentum brings more projects. More projects bring more jobs, and more jobs bring more opportunities for our residents. And while our economic progress is encouraging, it must be matched by sound fiscal management. A strong economy cannot survive or thrive without a stable and responsible budget. When I took office back in 2017, we were projected to run out of money as early as 2021. Now, we didn't call it Doge, and we didn't cut things immediately, but we put in an incredible amount of work. We engaged our residents, our business leaders, our fantastic employees, our city council, and municipal experts on where we should cut and where we should grow. Then we developed a plan, we then communicated that plan, and then we collectively acted on that plan. As a result, our finances are stable, and our financial policies are in order. And the National Resource Network recently stated in a national publication that the Rockford is in the midst of an improbable turnaround. I could not agree more with them. However, our budget concerns are far from over. We must continue to look for ways to increase our revenue as well as managing our expenses. Federal funding pauses, shifts in priorities, and changes in grant programs will not only impact our local government, but it will impact our nonprofits, our businesses, and many, many residents who rely on those funds. At its core, those who will be hurt most by the federal cuts that were approved by Congress are people. They are children, they're veterans, they're elderly, they're low income, there are Black and brown residents, there are disabled residents, there are survivors of domestic and sexual violence, they are newcomers, they are Rockfordians. So let me be clear, if the federal government does cut programs such as Head Start, LIHEAP, and housing programs, the city simply cannot cover the costs, and our community will suffer. Our residents, Rockfordians, will suffer. The state of Illinois also has a direct impact on our budget. The state recently created a property tax working group, one of my favorite working groups. Keep in mind that the state of Illinois does not have a property tax. The state also chose to cut our local government distributive fund, and since I've been mayor of the city of Rockford, the state has taken $108 million from the city because they have not fully funded this revenue source. The state has shifted the responsibility of extending the grocery tax onto us, the municipal leaders. For Rockford, choosing to keep this tax in place would preserve between $6 and $8 million in our city budget. To put that into perspective, that amount is equivalent to funding 60 to 80 police officers, or 60 to 80 firefighters, or 70 public works employees. And then, just this past year, they proposed more than 275 bills that were unfunded mandates on municipalities. Not only is the state taking our money, but it's also requiring us to fund their new mandates, leaving us to figure out, and to be the adults, but to figure out how to cover the additional costs. So here's a newsflash. If we want to address property taxes, it's simple. You give us our money back, and you stop the unfunded mandates, and then we can reduce the property tax burden on our residents immediately. So starting today and moving forward, we all need all of our elected officials, you as council members, to advocate on our behalf. This is not a time for silence or for hiding. We need our representatives to be bold, to be vocal, and relentless in making the case for Rockford, for our residents, and all municipalities. The city has made tremendous progress, but the growing uncertainty at the federal level is deeply concerning. Federal actions thus far, I believe, are far from big and even further from beautiful. They're putting our most vulnerable residents at risk. They're threatening access to critical services that our residents rely on to survive. It feels to many that the ladder of opportunity is literally being stripped away from them right now. Federal policy decisions are shifting greater responsibility onto our states. And if the states fail to rise to the occasion, the burden will fall squarely on cities like ours. Municipalities will become both the first and the last protectors of the American dream and the core values that all of us hold so dear. Rockford has always been a welcoming city, defined by our diverse residents, defined by our strong work ethic, our unwavering commitment to community values. Recent actions at the federal level make one thing really clear. No one is coming to save us. The good news? We are the ones that we have all been waiting for. The road ahead will test our strength, challenge our values, strain our partnerships, and even force us to reaffirm our priorities. But let me be clear. The state of our city is strong, and our resolve and our resilience is even stronger. We've overcome adversity before, and I know we will do so again. By standing together, we will preserve our momentum and continue building a future filled with hope, opportunity, and progress for all Rockfordians. Thank you. I don't have a really good transition, so we will move to petitions and communications. We have nothing under planning and development, but we do have an item from our legal department, Director Hammer.
Thank you, Your Honor. We are in receipt of the Comcast quarterly franchise fee payment in the amount of $303,218.70.
Thank you, Director Hammer. Next, we're going to go to Code and Regulation Committee. Alderman Bonney.
Thank you, Mayor. We have two items. Item number one, the Traffic Commission's agenda for the meeting to be held on June 11th, 2025, and minutes from that meeting for consideration at the Code and Regulation Committee meeting on June 23rd, 2025, referred to Code and Regulation Committee, and a memorandum from Alderman Bonney, I don't usually refer to myself in the third person, regarding authorization to allow the zoning officer to file a text amendment to remove the special use permit option for residential storage warehouse in C3 and C4 zoning districts, also referred to the Code and Regulation Committee.
Thank you, Alderman Bonney. We do not have any Finance and Personnel Committee items, so we will move to our public speakers. I want to remind our public speakers that there's microphones on the back right as well as the back left of City Council. You have 3 minutes to address our council members, and at the close of those 3 minutes, I would ask that you stop speaking to our council. You will hear an alarm go off if my phone works appropriately. If it doesn't, I will just ask you politely to pause your comments. Our first public speaker this evening is Susan Singh.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I feel like now I know how David felt meeting Goliath. This is in reference to the storage facilities being built or wanting to. Personally, I think this makes this area look like a crazy patchwork quilt. If you've ever gone down North 2nd Street, you know exactly what I mean. Second, I really don't think that's going to provide very many jobs. The jobs they will provide will be minimum wage type jobs with probably maybe 3 to 6 because storage facilities don't need a lot of people. William Charles has come before the City Council more than once. 20 years ago, I'm sure they were here offering, as I call it, a pig in a tutu. You can dress a pig up in a tutu. You can call it whatever you want, but still when it comes down to it, it's a pig in a tutu or a bribe. $100,000 to 4 charities? Yeah. Well, when they probably did this 20 years ago and wanted residential in that area, I'm sure they came to City Council, and maybe people thought, oh, you're buying over there, how stupid can you be? Well, go back and look. Maybe it was City Council who approved it for residential, and now we're right back here at the same thing again. Rockford has big dreams. I've lived here almost my entire life. I always have thought this is a great city, but I think sometimes you don't long-range plan. Maybe now some people are waking up and realizing it. Yes, we have the third largest school district in the state. I used to work for the Regional Office of Education. I was the truant person and life safety. But this is a quality of life too. Would you want a storage area 3 blocks from your front door? I really don't want that there at my front door, and nobody does in my neighborhood. There are already 7 storage facilities in that area. There's one right across the street. There comes a saturation point, and then what happens? We have 3 gas stations in a 2-block area. One of them is barely surviving. I don't think I see 12 cars there in a week. Same thing is going to happen with these storage areas. You're going to come to a point where it's oversaturation and done is done. Do we need more? I don't think so. Not when they're only at 65% capacity. Decisions like this are made by inexperienced children, childlike behavior things. We need to grow up. We need to realize this is a quality of life issue. This really doesn't need to be in that area. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks. Our next public speaker this evening is Robert Pace.
I'm going to follow along with what she was talking about. We're going to resurrect something that happened here a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks actually. On the May 19th City Council agenda, the Code and Regulations Committee recommended denying a special use permit for residential self-storage units in the 14th Ward. Apparently, the developer included a $100,000 donation to local charities that would benefit not-for-profit organizations in Rockford. Alderman Bonney of the 14th Ward referred to that $100,000 donation as akin to gift-wrapped bribery. I agree with Alderman Bonney. Maybe I'm naive, and these kinds of enticements or incentives may be the norm in some forms of business environments, but in my opinion, City Council should really think hard about not approving such deals with donations as an incentive, as it will cause more developers and businesses to make even larger gift-wrap briberies in the future, thus making an unfair business environment for smaller, less well-funded businesses and private citizens. In an era where social justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion are the battle cry for the moment, what about those people and the entities who don't have the funds to compete with the deep-pocketed corporations? How are those mom-and-pop startups going to get equal approval opportunities when they can't afford to buy an affirming vote? In my opinion, this is where the term payola applies. A definition I found online for payola states, in the context of politics, payola generally refers to a type of bribery or corruption where money or other valuable things are exchanged to influence officials or public employees. It can include payments to influence decisions, secure favors, or gain an advantage in political or business dealings. The definition of payola is what I think each City Council member should ask themselves. Is this payola environment, I as a City Council member want to make legitimate and make official? Let me go back over that. Is this payola environment something I as a City Council member want to legitimize and make official? I urge all City Council members to look up the term payola. I'm wondering if anyone on City Council wants to initiate a motion to reconsider that vote taken on 519 before you vote on the corresponding ordinance this evening, allowing that storage facility to be built. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next public speaker this evening is Prophet Youssef.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In the book of Ephesians, the 4th chapter, the 3rd verse, it says, always keep yourself united in the Holy Spirit and bind yourself together with peace. What I want to speak about tonight, lose the selfishness. Adversity is no problem for the united, but the slightest bit of selfishness can have disastrous results. For that reason, we men must stand united with our brothers in Christ. General Colin Powell underscored this important fact of life when he wrote the following. ABC correspondent Sam Donaldson was interviewing a young African-American soldier in a tank platoon on the eve of the battle in Desert Storm. Donaldson asked, how do you think the battle would go? Are you afraid? We'll do okay. We're well trained, and I'm not afraid. The GI answered, guessing toward his buddies around, I'm not afraid because I'm with my family. The other soldier shouted, tell him again, he didn't hear you. The soldier repeated, this is my family, and we take care of each other. That story never fails to touch me. It is a metaphor for what we have to do as a nation. We have to start thinking of American as a family. We have to stop screeching at each other, stop hurting each other, instead start caring for, sacrificing for, and sharing with us. We have to stop constantly criticizing each other, which is the way of dissatisfied people. Instead, get back to the can-do attitude that made America great. We have to keep trying and risk failing in order to solve this country's problem. We cannot move forward if cynics and critics sweep down and pick apart anything that goes wrong to a point where we lose. Each of us is called to take a part in a collective life mission far bigger than ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, if we are willing to submit our own wills to that mission and to do leaders and to follow our leaders, are you? Jesus remind me daily that I'm part of a team with a noble purpose. Thank God for my brothers and sisters who are veterans, and thank God you brought them back home. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Our next public speaker this evening is Jeffrey Barnes. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, alderpersons, not older persons. My name is Jeffrey Barnes, and I'm the new Executive Director for Northwestern Illinois Area Agency on Aging. These yellow folders that are on your desk, alderpersons, are some information about our agency. We are a hub of state and federal funding for serving older adults, adults 60 and older, and adults with disabilities. We have Older Americans Act funding, which is at risk, as the mayor's saying, from the federal government. To provide services, we need our funding. We need to reach our legislators and tell them it's important that older adults receive services throughout Rockford, Winnebago, Illinois. Some of the information in your folders, alderpersons, it's a little card. It's a very brief list of the services we offer. We also partner with Lifescape Community Services, who I'm sure is well known in this room. Some of our information is translated into Spanish and Arabic as well. We have a service and a senior benefits and services guide. This is also translated into Spanish. These are all on our websites. The back of our rack cards has a QR code that'll take you to our website. There's lots of information there about the services we offer to the residents of Rockford, Winnebago, and the 9 counties of northwestern Illinois. This last piece of paper is a rundown of the services that we have funded through our provider agencies in the 9 counties. So I want to highlight just one or two of these points before I finish up. In fiscal year 24, October through September of 2024, our provider agencies served over 77,000 congregate meals to over 2,500 older adults. We served almost 800,000 home-delivered meals to almost 4,000 older adults. We've provided, over 46,000 rides for older adults in the most rural of counties and in Rockford and Winnebago as well. We serve caregivers, and we serve people living alone. We're trying to decrease social isolation in our community. And if you have any questions, I request that you reach out to me. Many of you have already today received an email from me with our monthly newsletter. I send out emails to all of the alderpersons about our photo contest that we run through the beginning of July. We have lots of outreach. We're really working to re-engage our communities in Rockford and our counties. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next public speaker this evening is John Tack Brantley.
Good evening, Mayor. I enjoy your speech, our aldermen, and our citizens of Rockford, Illinois, and mainly those that's watching TV. You know, Jesus Christ told the 12 disciples, and they were worried about how you're going to feed 5,000 multitudes. Jesus Christ told them in simple terms, the work is plentiful, but the workers are few. Parents asked me a month ago about going to the Shed Aquarium. I found out that the Shed Aquarium costs $37 for adults, $31 for you. I found out that the Shed Aquarium could also, if the school was to participate in it, the kids could go for free. Last month I spent every day talking with the principals and getting the school to be involved with us transporting our kids to the Shed Aquarium. It wasn't until Thursday, 2 days before we was going to go to the Shed Aquarium, before one principal signed off on our kids. One of the principals had the nerve to inform me the reason he didn't sign off because he didn't know me. That bugged me. You don't have to know me because I'm not taking your kids. I'm taking our kids. Our school system forget the fact that they work for us. The city, the aldermen work for us. Boys and Girls Club work for us. They work for the citizens. We don't work for them. And therefore, we still going to the Shed Aquarium. but the day we going on is June the 24th. June the 24th is a very special day because June the 24th is the day I graduated out of high school. June the 24th is also the day that my ex-wife passed away from cancer. Everyone that I know I talked to lost a loved one that passed away from cancer. So when we leave the Shed Aquarium on the 24th, because we going with or without you, but we are going to have a school bus to go. When we leave there, we going to Rainbow Beach. At Rainbow Beach, I'm going to get in touch with my fraternity that's going to be there to barbecue. We're going to have the NAACP Scott there so that when we release the balloons for all the loved ones that we lost from cancer, we're going to have Wade in the Water. We're going to church on that day when we go to Rainbow Beach. Mind you, we taking 50 kids and 10 adults. 90% of the kids never been to Rainbow Beach, never been to the Shed Aquarium. I miss Tuffy, I miss Karen. 3 years ago, they gave us tickets to go out to Pecatonica. I took our kids out to Pecatonica. The kids said, Brother John, ain't nothing but white folks out here. I said, yeah, and? I said, that's why I brought you out here. The white people's embrace our kids. We taking our kids places they never been before. Even talking with the the Rockford Police Department. We want to have a relationship with the community. After Mark Anthony Bournemore, 2009, where is the reform that working with the community? After 2020, after Floyd George was assassinated and the police stood around and watched, what was... I'll finish my conversation Wednesday. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Brantley. Thank you to all of our public speakers for your comments this evening. Next, we're going to move to new committee reports, and we'll go to Planning and Development Committee and Alderwoman Wilkins.
This committee recommends approval of the proposed First Amendment to the Development Agreement between City of Rockford and Go Rockford for the Forest City Beautification Initiative to include 2025 sculpture program in the amount of $135,250. The funding source is the 2025 Arts and Culture Casino Tax Fund. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance.
Thank you, Alderwoman Wilkins. Council, we got one item before us. Any discussion on that one item? Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Durkee. Aye. Logeman. Aye. Toomberg. Aye. Frost. Aye. Torina. Aye. Prunty. Aye. Wilkins. Aye. Granith. Salgado. Aye. Meeks. Aye. Bell. Aye. Bonnie. Aye. 12 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Code and Regulation Committee and Alderman Bonnie.
Thank you. We have 20 items. Number 1, committee recommends sustaining the Traffic Commission's approval for a no parking at any time restriction on the south side of Jacqueline Drive from 50 feet west of Jacqueline Court to 110 feet west of Jacqueline Court. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. Number 2, committee recommends sustaining the Traffic Commission's approval to restrict parking to no parking 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on regular school days on the west side of Huffman Boulevard from Halstead Avenue to Jonathan Avenue. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. Number 3, committee recommends sustaining the Traffic Commission's approval for residential parking permits on the west side of Madison Street from 50 feet north of Market Street to 265 feet north of Market Street. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. Number 4, committee recommends sustaining the Traffic Commission's recommendation of no action be taken on the following items. Item A request to establish residential parking on both sides of Market Street from Madison Street to 130 feet west of Madison Street. B, a request to establish all-way stop control at the intersection of Pioneer Drive and Winthrop Lane. And C, a request to establish one-way stop control at the intersection of Victory Street and Lydia Avenue. Number 5, committee recommends approval of the amendment to the City of Rockford Code of Ordinances, Section 16-223, traffic signal preemption devices, to provide clarification on the unlawful possession of a traffic signal preemption device in subsection A. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. Number 6, committee recommends approval of the amendment to the City of Rockford Code of Ordinances, Section 3-119, for hookah lounges to modify the hours of BYOB. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinances. 7, committee recommends approval of plat of District 1 Police Subdivision. 8, committee recommends approval of plat number 3 of Stateview Subdivision. 9, committee recommends approval of the annexation of 3007 South Alpine Road and 26XX Bavarian Lane. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 10, committee recommends approval of the annexation of 4201 O'Connell Street. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 11, committee recommends sustaining the Zoning Board of Approval's approval for A, special use permit for the storage of empty dumpster bins, and B, variation to allow a gravel storage area in I-1 light industrial zoning at 114 Vista Terrace, 29XX and 28XX Elm Street. Jacinto and Abigail Carrasco applicants. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the ordinance. 12, committee recommends sustaining the Zoning Board of Appeals approval for a special use permit to allow dwelling units on the first floor in a C1 limited office zoning district at 7901 Royal Oaks Road, North Arrow Development applicant, subject to conditions. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 13, committee recommends sustaining the Zoning Board of Appeals approval for a variation to increase the maximum allowed number of freestanding signs from 1 to 2 in an R1 single-family residential zoning district at 620 North Alpine Road and 4400 Rural Street. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints applicants. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 14, committee recommends sustaining the Zoning Board of Appeals approval for a variation to reduce the side yard setback from the required 4.5 feet to 2 feet in an R1 single-family residential zoning district at 126 Welty Avenue. Keith Hoover applicant. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 15, committee recommends sustaining the Zoning Board of Appeals approval for a special use permit to convert a former church into a neighborhood pantry in an R1 single-family residential zoning district at 840 Mattis Avenue. Sony and Keith Collins applicants. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 16, committee recommends sustaining the Zoning Board of Appeals approval for a special use permit for installation of a solar farm in an I-1 light industrial zoning district at 1801 Morgan Street. Orbital Energy LLC for Rock River Capital LLC applicant. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 17, committee recommends sustaining the Liquor and Tobacco Advisory Board's approval for a modification of an existing liquor license to a Class TRK license and a corporate name change in a C3 General Commercial Zoning District at 8070 East State Street. Quick Trip 1818 LLC, doing business as Quick Trip, is the applicant. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the ordinance. 18, committee recommends sustaining the Liquor and Tobacco Advisory Board's approval for the sale of liquor by the drink, Class WB50, in conjunction with a sports bar and restaurant, video gaming terminals, and an outdoor seating area in a C3 General Commercial Zoning District at 4412 and 4414 Charles Street. Robert D. Taft, Brewski's Neighborhood Bar, Incorporated, doing business as Q Bar, Rockford, is the applicant. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. 19, committee recommends sustaining the Liquor and Tobacco Advisory Board's approval for the sale of beer and wine by the glass, Class WB50, in conjunction with a restaurant and video gaming terminals in a C3 General Commercial Zoning District at 479 North Springfield Avenue. Abdul Qadar Salih and Masa Enterprises, LLC, doing business as Elise's Grill applicant. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. And 20, committee recommends sustaining the Liquor and Tobacco Advisory Board's approval for A, sale of packaged liquor, class PKG, and B, sale of tobacco products in conjunction with a gas station and convenience store in a C3 commercial zoning district at 435 North Springfield Avenue. Abdul Qadar Salih Springfield Gas Mart Incorporated, doing business as Springfield Mobile, is the applicant. Subject to conditions, the legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance.
That was thrilling. All right. Does anyone have any discussion over the 20 items before us? Alderman Bonnie.
Yes, I would make a motion to lay over item 6.
We have a motion to lay over item 6. Is there a second to? We have a second to lay over item 6, so that's been laid over. All right, we're down to 19 items. Is there any discussion on the 19 items before us? Alderman Durkee.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have one comment. It seems like solar farms are popping up here like dandelions. I have one concern regarding these projects, and perhaps the development director could explore this, not for this project. But I think because they're occupying this land, and I think their profitability, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with tax credits and such. I'm not concerned about their profitability in the long run. The fact that they're operating on pretty good land and that all of these are LLCs, I'm wondering if in future agreements of these solar farms that we should as a city explore requiring the developers to put up a surety bond for decommissioning the solar panels off the land. Because I envision, unfortunately, that there may come a time when these developers or these owners walk away. They are LLCs, and we, being non-home rule, have very limited power to get them to return and restore the property. So I think that's a reasonable thing for our staff to look at.
We will absolutely.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Alderman Durkee, we will absolutely do that. Thank you. Any other discussion or comments on the 19 items before you? Item 6 has been laid over. Seeing none, clerk, could you please call the roll?
Durkee.
Aye.
Logeman.
Aye.
Toomberg.
Aye.
Frost.
Aye.
Tarina. Prunty. Wilkins. Granith. I'm sorry. Thank you. Salgado. Meeks. Bell. Bonnie. Items 1 through 5, 7 through 10, 11 and 12, 12 ayes. Item 13, 11 ayes, 1 no. Items 14 through 20, 12 ayes.
Thank you. Also, right before we go to Alderman Frost and Finance and Personnel, just want to recognize County Board members John Sweeney, as well as County Board member John Penny here. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Alderman Frost for Finance and Personnel.
Number 1, the committee recommends approval of vouchers in the amount of $10,837,914.31 as approved at the Finance and Personnel meeting held on May 27, 2025. Number 2, the committee recommends approval of the 2024 Supplemental Appropriation Ordinance. The legal director shall prepare the appropriate ordinance. Number 3, the committee recommends a denial of a fine reduction request for 1510 Custer Avenue being made on behalf of Kolowski Investments. The owner of the property is requesting a fine total of $2,800 be reduced to $100. The property is now in compliance with the appropriate building and sanitation code. Number 4, the committee recommends approval of an IGA between the city and IDOT for maintenance of state-owned routes within the city of Rockford. The city maintains roads per the agreement and is reimbursed on a quarterly basis by the state of Illinois. The agreement has a term of 10 years. The legal director shall prepare an appropriate ordinance. And number 5, the committee recommends the denial of the amended agreement between the City of Rockford and ComEd for the 11th Street improvements Phase 1 in the amount of $9.3 million. the funding source for this project would come from the local governance compliance tracker. I place these 5 minutes before you.
Thank you. Council, there are 5 items before you. I will note item 3, it says denial. That's because there is, you need 3 members of the committee to approve it, and that vote was a 2-to-1 in support, 2 in support, 1 in to deny. So just making note of that. Is there any discussion on the 5 items before us? Alderman Durkee.
Thank you, Your Honor. On number 5, I know the committee recommended denial, and this has been a sort of a topic of lots of discussion in Rockford. And I think if we walk this back, I think most of us would agree that we should be burying power lines for 2 primary reasons. One, for aesthetics, and secondly, because all too often we have power lines drop, especially our major feeder lines drop during storms. And in this day and age, we should be able to start dropping these power lines. The 11th Street beautification has been a project that is way long overdue. If you look at State Street coming in from the tollway, you basically look at a schizophrenic design. So we have nice, pretty ornamental lights surrounded by wooden telephone poles. It makes absolutely no sense. And I hate to see this happen on 11th Street because it doesn't look good there. I don't think it would look good here. That brings us to the cost of this project. What bothers me a little bit, ComEd is both the beneficiary, in all phases, is the beneficiary of this project, really. They don't have to worry about these lines, but they're also the sole contractor. So they basically can seemingly set any price that they want. That bothers me a little bit, and I think they're taking advantage of that. That's my personal perspective because I think this cost is too high. I'm wondering whether or not we could actually work with ComEd to put this out for bid. They're going to use a subcontractor because they're not going to do this work. So I'm wondering if we could explore doing this, dropping them ourselves, or at least at this point in time, taking some funds and putting the conduit in along the easement so that at some point in time when maybe we get a better deal, better price, that we can go back later and drop the lines into the conduit. So in other words, we set the conduit and all the access points now if we can't drop the power lines. So we have that in place at a point in time when maybe we can do that when the price makes a little bit more sense. But like I said, ComEd seems to be, we're a captive audience to basically whatever they say it costs to drop these lines. And I'm sure that if this was shopped around that we could get a better deal from a different company. So I'm going to vote in favor of this. I'm in support of it, and I think, like I said, this 11th Street corridor, punching this up is a very, very important project for the city. I'm hoping other aldermen would go along with that, maybe not. But at least, if it fails, that we entertain the possibility of putting in the conduit access right now while the area is torn up. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Durkee. Any other discussion? Alderman Frost and then Alderwoman Meeks.
I agree with Alderman Durkee in the sense that the beautification side of it and the long term, if there's an outage, I don't know how many outages. I mean, I will say this: the ComEd's pretty darn good. If there's an outage, we had a tornado come through in 2020. Besides that event, they're pretty quick about getting power restored. But I mean, I have to vote. I'll be voting yes for it, which means it's a denial, just so everyone's clear on that, because this cost is prohibitive, and this is just phase 1. So it isn't if our residents would have to pay this tax, because this is what it is. This is the tax from ComEd on our residents citywide of the $9.3 million, because there is a phase 2. There's a phase 3. I believe the state may. I'm not sure if what our cost percentage would be on phase 3. But you're talking about, let's just assume it's phase 1 and phase 2. You're talking about, it's about the same distance of area. So, a little under $20 million tax on our residents in the city of Rockford to work on one specific road. And, as Alderman Durkee mentioned, East State Street doesn't have it, right? Spring Creek Road doesn't have it. Auburn doesn't have it. There's a litany of roads that don't have underground lines. And although it may not look as good, the cost savings to our residents is tantamount. And I just, putting an approximate $20 million cost for the benefit of one particular road, I think it's too much. And so maybe ComEd gets the message, maybe they don't. I like Alderman Durkee's creative ideas. It reminds me of something that Alderman Beach has recommended in the past. I highly doubt that's feasible, since it's their lines, their easement. They're not going to let us go shop around their work. So it may be a great idea, but I'm not sure if it goes anywhere. So I'll be voting yes on number 5, which is a denial. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Meeks.
Can I make a motion to lay over item number 2?
You can. We have a motion. We have a second. Item 2 has been laid over. So we're down to 4 items. Any discussion on those 4 items? Clerk, please call the roll.
Turkey.
No on 5, I am arrested.
Logeman.
No on 3, I am arrested.
Toomber.
Aye.
Frost.
Aye.
Tarina.
Aye.
Prunty.
No on 5, I am arrested.
Wilkins.
No on 3, I am arrested.
Granith.
No on 3, I am arrested.
Salgado.
No on 3 and 5, I am arrested.
Meeks.
No on 5, I on the rest.
Bell.
Aye.
Bonnie.
No on.
Item number 1, 12 ayes. Item number 3, 8 ayes, 4 noes. Item 4, 12 ayes. Item number 5, 7 ayes, 5 noes.
Thank you. Next, we have officers' reports. Any reports from council members? Okay. Next, we'll move to motions and resolutions. We have nothing under planning and development, so we'll go to Code and Regulation Committee and Alderman Bonnie.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one item. Committee recommends approval of the Fred Van Vliet Block Party. This event is scheduled to take place on June 15th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. The event location will be on State Street between Madison Street and First Street.
Any discussion on that one item? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Excellent. Next, we'll go to Finance and Personnel Committee, Alderman Frost.
Thank you, Your Honor. Number 1 is committee recommends approval of a resolution for the appropriation of MFT funds for the improvement of the Illinois Highway Code for the West State Street Sidewalk Gap, the amount of $200,000. Number 2, the committee recommends a change order for the Child Adult Care Program to Delicious Unlimited. The initial amount was $26,979. There's a change order of $55,061.41, and it's due to an additional 8 early Head Start students and 60 Head Start students. And the request to increase the cost of meals is 3.7%. The funding source is the U.S. Department of Agriculture grant through the Illinois State Board of Education. Number 3, the committee recommends approval of an application award acceptance for the IDHS Emergency Solutions Grant in the amount of $25,000. It does require 100% cost match, and the funding source will be the Community Service Block Grant. The grant term is from July 1, 2025 to June 1, 2026. It will provide funds used to pay for clients' rent, housing, search, placement, budget, education, and other costs. Number 4 is the acceptance of the DCEO LIHEAP State Supplemental Grant Award in the amount of $3,747,962. This does not require a cost match. The grant term is from June 1, 2025 to August 31, 2026. The grant will be used to pay for approved clients' electrical and/or heating bills and other matters. Number 5 is the acceptance of the DCO Weatherization Health and Human Services grant award in the amount of $772,748. It does not require a cost match. It is from June 1, 2025 to September 30, 2026. It will provide funds for the use of approved clients' work orders, energy use education, and other matters. The number 6 is the acceptance of a DCO weatherization state supplemental grant in the amount of $450,570. This grant does not require a cost match. It is also from June 1, 2025 to September 30, 2026. It will be used to provide funds to pay for approved clients' weatherization work orders, energy use education, and other matters. Number 7 is acceptance of the impact grant award from the Winnebago County Mental Health Board in the amount of $1,304,401. This grant does not require a cost match. It is also from June 1, 2025 and goes to May 30, 2027. The grant will provide funds to cover salaries for 5 mental health navigators and 1 housing navigator, temporary housing costs, and other services to move eligible individuals toward permanent housing. I place these 7 matters before you.
Thank you, Alderman Frost. Council, 7 items before you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, clerk, please call the roll.
Durkee. Aye. Logeman. Aye. Thunberg.
Aye.
Frost.
Aye.
Torina. Aye. Prunty. Aye. Wilkins. Aye. Granith. Salgado. Meeks. Bell. Bonnie.
Aye.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we are going to Planning and Development Committee. Alderman Wilkins.
Item 1 is an ordinance approving the First Amendment to the Development Agreement between City of Rockford and Go Rockford for the Forest City Beautification Initiative to include 2025 sculpture program in the amount of $135,250. The funding source is the 2025 Arts and Culture Casino Tax Fund.
Thank you. We have 1 item before us. Is there any discussion? Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Durkee. Aye. Logeman. Aye. Thunberg. Aye. Frost. Aye. Torina. Aye. Prunty. Wilkins. Aye. Granith. Aye. Salgado. Aye. Meeks. Aye. Bell. Aye. Bonnie. Aye. 12 ayes.
Thank you. Before we go to Code and Regulation Committee, Alderwoman Wilkins, did you have an item that you would like to ask the clerk for clarification?
I'm sorry, I spaced out on that last vote for the Finance and Personnel. It should be a no for 3 and 5, aye on the rest. If I didn't say that before.
And when you say that, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Alderwoman, you're talking about the fine reduction policy as well as the ComEd.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
So that is not the most recent 3 and 5. That is under new committee reports, finance and personnel, items 3 and 5. Thank you for that clarification.
Sorry.
The vote on 5 will now be 6 to 6. I'll need you to vote.
What do you say?
The vote on 5, number 5, would now be 6 to 6. So I would need you to vote on the ComEd.
Thank you. That's the one that a no vote is a yes vote, correct? Yes. No. So 1 second. Director Hammer.
Thank you, Your Honor. So a no vote is voting against the denial. A yes vote would be in favor of the denial.
1 second, Alderman Frost.
I'm sorry.
No, I have the mic on. There you go.
If you vote yes on number 5, it is to deny the ability for ComEd to charge $9.3 million, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct. Thank you. Next, we will go to Code and Regulation Committee under new business. Alderman Bonnie.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 18 items. Number 1, an ordinance approving a special use permit for residential self-storage warehouses in a C3 general commercial zoning district at 5866, 5884, and 5936 Columbia Parkway. Barefoot Land Company is the applicant. 2, an ordinance approving a no parking at any time restriction on the south side of Jacqueline Drive from 50 feet west of Jacqueline Court to 110 feet west of Jacqueline Court. 3, an ordinance restricting parking to no parking 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on regular school days on the west side of Huffman Boulevard from Halsted Road to Jonathan Avenue. 4, an ordinance approving residential parking permits on the west side of Madison Street from 50 feet north of Market Street to 265 feet north of Market Street. 5, an ordinance approving the amendment to the City of Rockford Code of Ordinances, Section 16-223, traffic signal preemption devices, to provide clarification on the unlawful possession of a traffic signal preemption device in subsection A. Item 6 was laid over, so item 7, an ordinance approving the annexation of 3007 South Alpine Road and 26XX Bavarian Lane. 8, an ordinance approving the annexation of 4201 O'Connell Street. 9, an ordinance approving a special use permit for the storage of empty dumpster bins and a variation to allow a gravel storage area in an I-1 light industrial zoning district at 114 Vista Terrace, 29XX and 28XX Elm Street. Jacinto and Abigail Carrasco applicants. 10, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow dwelling units on the first floor in a C1 limited office zoning district at 7901 Royal Oaks Road, North Arrow Development applicant. 11, an ordinance approving a variation to increase the maximum allowed number of freestanding signs from 1 to 2 in an R1 single-family residential zoning district at 620 North Alpine Road and 4400 Rural Street, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints applicants. 12, an ordinance approving a variation to reduce the side yard setback from the required 4.5 feet to 2 feet in an R1 single-family residential zoning district at 126 Welty Avenue, Keith Hoover applicant. 13, an ordinance approving a special use permit to convert a former church into a neighborhood pantry in an R1 single-family residential zoning district at 840 Mattis Avenue, Sony and Kenneth Collins applicants. 14, an ordinance approving a special use permit for the installation of a solar farm in an I-1 light industrial zoning district at 1801 Morgan Street, Orbital Energy LLC for Rock River Capital LLC applicant. 15, an ordinance approving a modification of an existing liquor license to a Class TRK license and a corporate name change in a C3 General Commercial Zoning District at 8070 East State Street, Quick Trip 1818 LLC, doing business as Quick Trip applicant. 16, an ordinance approving the sale of liquor by the drink Class WB50 in conjunction with a sports bar and restaurant, video gaming terminals, and an outdoor seating area in a C3 General Commercial Zoning District at 4412 and 4414 Charles Street. Robert D. Taft, Brewski's Neighborhood Bar, Incorporated, doing business as Q Bar, Rockford applicant. 17, an ordinance approving the sale of beer and wine by the drink Class WV50 in conjunction with the restaurant and video gaming terminals in a C3 General Commercial Zoning District at 479 North Springfield Avenue, Abdul Kader Salih and Masa Enterprises LLC, doing business as Elisa's Grill applicant. 18, an ordinance approving the sale of packaged liquor Class PKG in conjunction with the gas station and convenience store in a C3 Commercial Zoning District at 453 North Springfield Avenue, Abdul Kader Salih, Springfield Gas Mart Incorporated, doing business as Springfield Mobile applicant. And 19, an ordinance approving the sale of tobacco products in conjunction with the gas station and convenience store in a C3 Commercial Zoning District at 453 North Springfield Avenue, Abdul Kader Salih, Springfield Gas Mart Incorporated, doing business as Springfield Mobile applicant. Yeah.
Is there any discussion on those items? Alderman Bonnie.
Thank you. I wanted to speak a little bit more. I don't want to belabor points already made on item 1 on the self-storage proposal. So I want to speak to a email that was sent this morning, apparently to, I assume, to all 13 aldermen except the alderman for the ward, being myself, from A.C. Johnston Company, which is essentially or used to be one and the same with William Charles, which you heard referred to by the speakers. And in that email, Jerry Hayden makes a couple of points, including this idea that the project is supported by 65% of the property owners in Walden Woods subdivision. But they acknowledge that Haley Properties owns 47 of these units, and Aaron Bloomberg owns 15 of these units. And that just smacks to me of corporate elitism, that they're trying to claim that two individuals who may own 47 of the units speak for the households who actually live there and rent from them. And I didn't have time to look into it, but I really wonder if whoever owns Haley Properties and Aaron Bloomberg even live in the city of Rockford, and whereas these residents actually do. They've also claimed, again, I don't doubt they had a letter from Starbucks that they support this project. But again, this is all just big corporations sticking together. If you look at the tax records, you'll see that William Charles sold that property was the taxpayer of record 2 years ago. So William Charles, which has an affiliation with A.C. Thompson, sold the property to Starbucks. Of course they're going to say that. And then they talk about they've actively marketed this property for 25 years. They keep saying that. I don't know that they've ever presented any evidence of that. They talk about the proximity to Walden Woods subdivision and how it's only visible to one residence there. But the fact of the matter is, it is 1/10 of a mile from Walden Woods subdivision, which is approximately a little over 500 feet, and it's only separated from this property by one other property. Again, as some of the speakers alluded to, they talk about the $70,000 in new property tax because it would be going from vacant to developed, but it is currently zoned for commercial retail. We allow this industrial use by special use permit, and we've had this conversation before with other applications. Because this is rental, this property won't generate a sales tax, where if it were used for commercial or retail or at least retail purposes, it would. And again, as at least one of the speakers mentioned, it's almost no jobs associated with it. And also, again, as some of the speakers mentioned, there's a clash of uses that we have in the remaining vacant land in this sort of grid between Mulford, Arnold, Harrison, and Charles, where we have commercial retail lining Harrison and Mulford. We have residential essentially centered on Sand Hutton, and then we have industrial with the quarry in the middle. And I do not see how increasing the industrial use of what property is left there as benefits the residential and the commercial retail users. It only benefits the out-of-state developer and William Charles / A.C. Johnston.
Stop. You can't speak. Alderman Bonnie, go.
Then this issue of the donations, I mean, this is really just sickening. We had one alderperson essentially acknowledging last council meeting on the floor that their vote was tipped. They were on the fence. Their vote was tipped by the charitable donations, and another one who said privately, after having voted no in committee, that their vote had to do with their aldermanic office being in the building of one of the nonprofits that is going to benefit from this development. And I would think that the alderman of the 13th Ward with that conflict of interest would abstain and not vote tonight on this. Finally, obviously I read into that we referred into committee a proposal that I'm making that we consider. I'm not sure we all even realize, I know I didn't, that we have 4 commercial zoning classifications, and we already don't allow this as a special use in C1 and C2. Not this council, but the previous council, which most of us were here for, approved that change, which was recommended to us by staff. So the proposal that I would like us to consider in the future, or coming up actually next week at Codes and Regs, is that we just simply extend that and don't allow it in C3 and C4, so we quit having to have these painful, protracted, close vote debates at City Council over whether we should allow an industrial use in commercial retail. And I did a little research on this and found that a few things that I just want to cite, all from self-storage industry publications that are available online. One is called Inside Self-Storage. And quoting part of that article, let's face it, the self-storage industry is overbuilt. There are simply too many facilities chasing too few tenants. Today we have more than 50,000 self-storage facilities operating in the United States. There's nearly 6 square feet of storage for every person in America. Self-storage is a highly specialized use. As a result, it can easily be converted to an alternative use if market conditions warrant. Overbuilding in a weak or highly competitive market can cause significant financial loss because these facilities can't be repurposed. From something called Mini Storage Messenger. Self-storage remains in the crosshairs of some city officials due to concern over aesthetics, over supply, a lack of job creation, or all of the above. They're restricting self-storage facilities to industrial zones or instituting moratoriums or outright bans. Over the last 6 years, there have been self-storage moratoriums or bans in cities across at least 15 states. Illinois is one of those 15. A couple of them. In July of 2024, in Yonkers, New York, in calling for a self-storage moratorium, the mayor there said, "This prevents Yonkers from becoming a self-storage facility capital of Westchester County." Same month, July of 2024, Providence, Rhode Island, after enacting a moratorium, one of the councilmen said, what we're seeing is the industry gobbling up a lot of land that, in our opinion, should be used for other purposes. January of 2025, Rockdale County, Georgia, county officials issued a moratorium on self-storage, vape shops, and small box discount retailers, citing a correlation with negative social outcomes such as crime and decreased property values. Again, from Inside Self-Storage, this dates all the way back to December of 2016. After a 5-month study to learn how neighboring communities handle zoning for self-storage, Lincolnwood officials have passed a zoning change that bans new self-storage and warehouse developments from opening within its commercial zoning districts. The village board unanimously passed the measure. The village's community development director was quoted as saying, "In most communities, self-storage facilities are in industrial hubs in areas that are completely disconnected from major commercial corridor and downtown commercial." So I would just ask, as the alderman for the ward, that my colleagues support me on this in denying this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, Alderman Bell and Alderman Durkee, was your hand raised? Oh, no. Oh. Alderman Bell. You didn't want to wade into the storage wars?
You can give it to him.
He didn't have anything. Okay. Alderman Frost.
Thanks. I know that desperate times call for desperate measures, but I've been here now a while, and I just don't know if it's appropriate for an alderman to call out another alderman on whether the legality and the intent of abstaining a vote. And I would just turn to our legal director and ask if an abstention, as an alderman has recommended or inferred, is even proper.
Director Hammer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Based on the information known to me at this time, I don't believe it constitutes a conflict of interest, and so no recusal or abstention would be warranted.
Because just for the record, I went to the Boys and Girls Club fundraiser on Friday night, and I don't plan on abstaining for a vote because I do something like that, right? So with respect to some of the comments that were just made on this, I've looked at this map many times. I've got it pulled up again right now on Google Maps, and I understand, the plight of some folks that live in an area where it borders other areas, and the Walden condominiums / apartments, if you look due to the north and east of it, it borders a quarry. And if you look just due to the east where Cherry Leaf Lane comes out, it comes out right smack dab into Columbia Pipe and Supply. And there's also around this property, so on the where this indoor storage facility would go would be, to the north of it would be what used to be a Volvo Heavy Truck Center. Now it's owned by Collier RV. And in the picture I see, 20 Class A RVs. So those are like buses parked there. To the south of it is Granger, and to the west of it is Columbia Pipe. So, to be fair, the neighborhood is not directly adjacent to the site at all. I guess I just didn't know when corporations and big corporations became the villain of Rockford. We should, instead of trying to make some innocuous argument about the affiliation of William Charles to A.C. Johnston and what it means, and having these big bad companies like Granger and Columbia Pipe nearby, I'm offended by that. These are folks that provide jobs, and they pay taxes, and after a night they're going to be paying more taxes. So we ought not chase them away. I just don't see, and I appreciate, I don't understand why we as aldermen are going to look at the successful viability of a business. We're not in this business. If someone else comes before us, if Raising Cane's comes before us and we say, there's already too many chicken places in Rockford, what's our authority on that? What's our basis on that? If they want to come and build, let them come and build. I'm not worried about what's going to go there next. Right? Not all the time. But I just think we're really stepping beyond our jurisdiction when we start talking about the viability of a business. So there are property taxes that this business is going to pay, and based upon, again, I understand the land use area issue with respect to this. There has been different land uses over there, and obviously a storage facility does require a special use permit like this to succeed. But I see no reason why that we as a council would deny a special use permit based on any of the articulations of the alderman who represents this area, because it just doesn't make sense. It seems like someone's really going out of their way hard to kill a deal or kill a project because of some level of corporate elitism, some level of doesn't like the zoning. But in reality, when you pull all that back and you look at what really matters here is what's best for Rockford, what's best for our citizens, what's best for our tax base. You can't just keep saying no to everything, right? I mean, the Mulford and East State, former Kmart, the council voted no on it. So what's going to sit there now? Another blighted vacant building. Is that what we want here? This property's been for sale, according, I think, to the email, for 21 years. It's a large piece of property. Who's going to go there? No office building's ever going to go there. No office complex is ever going to build there. That I'll bet the farm on. It's not conducive for retail use, and it's surely not going to be used for any sort of single-family or multi-family use because of what it's already surrounded by. So for that reason and others, I will be voting yes to approve this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on any of the items that we have before us, any of those 19? Clerk, please call the roll.
Durkee. Aye. Logeman.
No on one, I am
Toomberg.
Aye.
Frost.
Aye.
Torina.
No on 11, aye on the remainder.
Prunty.
No on 1, aye on the remainder.
Wilkins.
Aye.
Granith.
Aye.
Salgado. Meeks. Bell. Bonnie. Item number 1, 9 ayes, 3 noes. Item 2 through 5, 12 ayes. Items 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 ayes. Item 11, 11 ayes, 1 no. Items 12 through 19, 12 ayes.
Thank you. Before we move on to Finance and Personnel, Director Hammer, could you go over what's the next steps for Roman numeral 6C5, the Finance and Personnel item?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So the committee's recommendation for denial of the item failed by a vote of 6 to 7. Therefore, this operates as a favorable vote on the committee report. So an ordinance would be required, and the ordinance would appear on the City Council agenda 2 weeks from tonight on June 16th.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Finance and Personnel Committee and Alderman Frost.
Thank you, Your Honor. Number 1 is an ordinance approving the 2024 supplement. Oh, that's been laid over. I'm sorry. So number 2 is an ordinance approving the IGA between the city and IDOT for the maintenance of state-owned routes within the city. City maintains the roads per the agreement and is reimbursed on a quarterly basis by the state. This is an agreement term has for 10 years. Number 3 is an ordinance authorizing and providing the issue of not to exceed $13.75 million of general obligation bonds for the purpose of paying amounts due by the city related to settlements of litigation against the city prescribing the details of said bonds, providing for the imposition of taxes to pay the same, and for the collection, segregation, and application of certain sales tax receipts to pay said bonds, and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof. I place these two matters before you.
Excellent. Thank you. We have 2 items before us. Any discussion on those 2 items? Alderman Durkee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a comment on number 2. Just explore with the development staff. A state road is not always a state road, and we have some restaurants and businesses that lie along these state routes, especially Route 2 in downtown. They are prohibited by the state, because it is a state road, for putting outdoor dining on those sidewalks. Is there a way, once we approve this and talk to the folks down in IDOT, that we could get some waivers in our internal state routes in the city to allow for outdoor dining?
Thank you. Really great point. I will make sure that Director Sanders as well as Director Elias both have communication with IDOT.
Thank you.
Great point. Thank you. Any other discussion on the 2 items that remain before us? Clerk, please call the roll.
Durkee. Aye. Logeman. Aye. Toomberg.
Aye.
Frost.
Aye on 1. I'm sorry. Aye on 2, no on 3.
Torina. Aye. Prunty. Aye. Wilkins. Aye. Granith. Aye. Salgado, Meeks, Bell, Bonnie. Item number 2, 12 ayes. Item number 3, 10 ayes, 2 noes.
Excellent. Will someone please make an motion to adjourn? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Someone, thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Anyone want to discuss that? No? Good. All those in favor say aye.